Hello and welcome to Eye on Africa. I'm Clarisse Fortuné. Our top stories. South Africa takes Israel to the United Nations top court with accusation of genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. The Israeli government rejects the accusations, calling it a blood libel. Jollof rice in Nigeria, nyama choma in Kenya or odika fish in Gabon, all delicious meals for the holiday season, but inflation is leaving a bitter taste on the festivities. Our special year in review for 2023 continues. Ready, steady, on your marks. Focus this time on sports. South Africa is taking Israel to court. It has begun proceedings at the International Court of Justice alleging violations of the Genocide Convention in relation to Israeli attacks on Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. Israel rejected the charge. Luke Shrego is in Tel Aviv with more.
South Africa has long been a critic of Israel's actions in Gaza, but its application to the International Court of Justice, the United Nations judicial organ that resolves conflicts between states, takes things to another level. Pretoria has accused Israel of acts genocidal in character, committed with intent to destroy Palestinians in Gaza, and asking the court for an interim order for Israel to suspend its military offensive in the Palestinian enclave. The Israeli government reacted in the strongest terms, with the Foreign Ministry expressing disgust and dismissing the 84-page claim, in turn accusing South Africa of cooperating with Hamas. It went on to add that it wasn't at war with the Palestinian people and was targeting the militant group in Gaza. Either way, a hearing could take place in days or weeks, with a full court case likely to take years, and orders from the court have been ignored in the past. What seems certain is that freezing relations between Israel and South Africa are unlikely to improve anytime soon. Pretoria voted to shut down the Israeli embassy in November and suspend diplomatic relations until a ceasefire in Gaza was reached.
The holiday season has a bittersweet taste for those with some low income, like in Gabon, impacted by the price hike of some consumer goods. 3 months after former President Ali Bongo was ousted, the current military regime is trying to keep up with a shaky socioeconomic situation. Indira Ayuk, Ismail Obiangze, and Andre Yakana report.
Wale is making last-minute purchases at the Libreville market ahead of the end-of-year festivities.
How much for the meat?
4,500.
Due to hikes in the cost of consumer goods, she has to strike off some items from her list. A kilogram of beef, for example, has seen an increase of close to 20%.
I came to get some fresh meat. I still had the old price of 3,500 francs per kilo. But when I arrived here, I was faced with a new cost. The price, which was at 3,500, is now at 4,500 francs or 5,000.
Gabon gets food supply from neighboring Cameroon and Congo-Brazzaville. The recent increase in transport fares have been blamed for the inflation affecting most sectors in Gabon. Retailers like Pierrette Baker say they have to increase the cost of most items to make up for the high cost of transportation.
For the 12 to 14-ton truck, the rental is 700,000 francs. The expenses are 900,000. You have to spend 1,600,000 to transport the goods. And when we bring in the goods, we have to be expensive to try to recover our expenses.
The rise in prices affects all sectors. For this economist, Gabon must change its economic model if it wants to control the prices of consumer goods.
Il faut donc, je pense, essayer de faire la...
We must try to promote local production. As long as we do not produce, unfortunately, it will be difficult to reduce prices.
De baisser les prix.
Figures from the Gabonese customs authorities reveals that the country imported goods worth about 184 billion francs CFA, which is a little over 280 million euros last year alone.
2024 is around the corner, and as we are getting ready to say goodbye to 2023, we continue our year in review, looking back at major events on the continent and beyond. Today, our focus is sports, and our guest is journalist Ojora Babatunde. Welcome, Odora.
Thank you for
So,
having me.
if you have to resume this year for 2023 for sports, especially for African, what would have been the biggest events for the continent?
For me, I think it will be the Springboks of South Africa. I mean,
Of course.
coming to defend your title here in Paris, it's something as an African that gives us joy. And coupled with the fact that I had friends that came all the way from Africa and some from Europe and other part of the world. So it gives us joy to see that an African country could lift that trophy for even for Parisians and Africans that live in France. So it gives us joy to see that.
Besides the World Cup, so what else would you think of?
I think I'll go with the World Championships in Budapest. We saw Kenyan, Ugandan, Moroccan, and Ethiopian athletes that they did well, winning the 1,500 meters for fifth of Kenya. It's something you also want to appreciate and applaud them for Africans to go all the way against all odds to come ahead and get gold and bronze at the World Championships in Budapest as well. So after the Springboks, that will be the second on my list as well.
And I was saying earlier, 2024 is around the corner, and around the corner with AFCON 2024, which is about to start pretty soon. Are we ready?
Oh, we are, of course, we are. The most competitive continental football tournament in the world. Africans are excited, and as an African as well, I'm excited because it's around the corner, maybe 18 or 17 days before the kickoff in Côte d'Ivoire, Abidjan will be hosting that, the opening ceremony. Africans are excited, and when you look at how Africans over the year in diaspora, from the top 5 leagues, they've managed to put themselves out there. From Bundesliga, we have Guirassy, who is behind Harry Kane, 17 goals. That's a big one. We have Osimhen, a Nigerian, who won the highest, the top goal scorer in the Serie A last season. So Africans are happy that the continent will be welcoming top names. Sadio Mane, not forgetting him as well. That will be welcoming them, and we are ready for the show.
Odora, you can tell me, do you have a favorite?
Of course, Nigeria. So Nigeria for me, not because I'm a Nigerian, but because the team boasts of the most expensive African side in Africa. So we want to see them lift the trophy again.
So we'll be watching. But there's also another big event, obviously 2024 is the Paris Games. So what are the chances to get a bit of gold, maybe silver, but at least gold for Africa?
I think most of them will build on what for the athletics part, I beg your pardon, what they did in Budapest. For Kenya, I'm having high hopes on Kenya, Uganda, and also Morocco, because Morocco over the years they've improved and they've invested a lot in their sporting facilities. So I'm pretty confident these countries I've mentioned, when it comes to athletics, they will probably lay their hands on gold or silver or bronze and come Paris Olympics here next year in 2024.
But athleticism is always like almost a given. Is there any other sports where we might be surprised, you think?
Maybe football, because the Super Falcons of Nigeria, they're on the verge of qualifying for the next year's Olympics. And I think Morocco also, they already booked their place in next year's Olympics football competition category, I beg your pardon. So I'm looking at that part as well. Then maybe basketball.
You think basketball?
Yeah, I think basketball. Because the Super Falcons, sorry, I beg your pardon, we call them the Tigers of Nigeria, for example. They went all the way, defeated France, defeated United States of America. Mm-hmm. So that's a statement. So who knows, come next year at the Olympics, they might probably be doing something miraculous here in Paris.
With which country?
Like Nigeria.
Again?
I'll go with Nigeria. I'll go with Morocco did well as well. Then Senegal. I'll go with Senegal as well.
Senegal with, of course, obviously there's NBA Africa in
exactly,
Senegal,
Ball Africa, yeah. So I'm looking at them
prepared, to do something. Did you manage to follow any of the practice or people getting ready, preparing for next year? Any teams that you think
for the Olympics?
Keep an eye for the Olympics? Or for AFCON for that matter?
Oh, for AFCON, teams already camping. Burkina Faso opened their camp today. Some of the players are already in Dubai. Same as, Ghana is supposed to camp in South Africa, but that has been called off due to a social media rampage, saying, okay, why are they going to South Africa to camp when the tournament is happening in the western part of Africa? We know it's going to be sunny, so you need to prepare them, get them where it's sunny, not southern part of Africa where we know it's cold. So they will be opening their camp very soon. Nigeria
we'll be watching. We
will
be watching. We can't wait.
All right.
Thank you very much. And we're going to stay with sports because she will probably face some tough competition at the upcoming Paris Games. But challenges don't face this Ugandan swimmer. She spent her life smashing stereotypes about disabled people, starting with her own family. She was born without her right forearm, with an impairment to her left hand. Talking about Husna Kukundakwe, she was 3 years old when she began paddling in a pool in her local kindergarten. Clémence Valère tells her story.
She was once viewed simply as a girl with a disability. Today, Husna Kukundakwe is a professional swimmer, representing her country at the world's most prestigious sporting event, the Olympics.
My main goal going there was to inspire people with or without disabilities, especially children. Imagine reaching that highest athlete level at the age of 14. It was such a huge achievement.
Born without her right forearm and with an impairment to her left hand, Husna was 3 years old when her watery journey began. She knew she had a tough road ahead, facing cliches regarding disabilities, starting at home, but she never let that stop her.
I just love being in the water. Of course, in the beginning, my mom wasn't supportive about it because she was worried that I would not be able to swim. But of course, I kept being stubborn and kept going back, even though she told me not to. So eventually, she had to give in.
Motivated by her desire to excel in her sport, Husna eventually made her international sporting debut in 2019 before competing in the Tokyo Paralympics 2 years later.
At those championships, it was nerve-wracking, of course. It was my first time competing against paraswimming legends, the ones I watched on YouTube, and also meeting my role model in face-to-face was definitely an amazing experience.
According to Uganda's state-run Equal Opportunities Commission, people with disabilities still face stigma and discrimination and are often denied access to public services such as health and education. Husna is a youth ambassador for the International Paralympics Committee, and as such, she strives every day to break the stereotypes.
That's it for this edition. Thank you for watching.
Want to know? Find out here.
With France 24, learn to tell what's true from what's fake on social networks.
Identify the false rumors in European news stories.
Get reliable information about migration.
Truth or fake, every day we bring you information that is verified and put into context.
France 24 is news you can rely on every day across all platforms.